Okay, this is still lesson 63, but here you can see these are a little different from 7 on compared to 6, 1 through 6, is because you don't have the y isolated. Okay, so you have to pick one and isolate the y in order to be able to substitute it into the other problem. Just like all of these, you see the y is isolated, the y is isolated, y equals. They all have one of the equations already set for you. But what do you do if you can't do that? Or if they don't have one? Well, you have to do it yourself. Just like this one, I would choose this equation because the y is already by itself. There's no 1, 2, 3 or fraction in front of it. So I'm going to use this equation, and plus it's positive. I don't like dealing, I mean you can, but I like this positive y. So to get the negative 4x over to the other side, the opposite of negative 4 is a positive 4x. So if I do that, negative 4x, positive 4x, that becomes 0 and leaves y by itself. But I got to do the same over here. I got to have positive 4x to keep it balanced. So here now I got y isolated. I got y equals 4x plus 6. Okay? So now I could substitute that into this one. I can put y in as 4x plus 6 and then solve the problem. Find the x. So here I can go negative 5x minus y is going to be 4x plus 6 equals 21. Okay? So now I got to do that distributive with this symbol here. This is actually minus 1. You can pretend there's a 1 there. So here I got negative 5x minus 1 times a positive 4x becomes negative 4x. And then negative 1 times a positive 6 becomes a negative 6. So you can see the symbol here, the negative basically causes these to reverse symbols. The positive 4x becomes a negative and the positive 6 becomes a negative 6 equals 21. Now I'm back, this is back to lesson 59. I connect or put together the like terms here. So I got negative 5x plus negative 4x becomes a negative 9x minus 6 equals 21. And then I got to isolate the x, so I got to move that to the other side. So plus 6, that leaves negative 9x equals 27. And then, let's move this up a little bit. And then negative 9 times something equals 27. Well, most people see that'll be a 3. But if I continue with the opposite, dividing by negative 9 leaves 1x, or x equals 27 divided by negative 9. That's a negative 3. Negative 9 times negative 3 is a positive 27. Yep. So x would be negative 3. But now, what would be y? I could take the negative 3 and put it in for the x. So here, y will equal 4 times negative 3 equals, or plus 6. So here, y equals 4 times negative 3 is negative 12 plus 6. So y equals negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. So the answer, if we graph these two on a graph, the two lines will cross at x would be negative 3 and the y would be negative 6. So that would be the answer. Okay? But look at number 8. You can see none of them are set up as a linear equation. They're both linear equations. You got the x and the y. But none of them are isolated. I'm going to choose, you don't have to do the y. Even in the book they have some like this, where I could actually, this is going to be the easiest one. I don't want to isolate any of these because they got numbers in front of them. This one has a number in front of it. So I'm going to go, I want to isolate this one. It's positive and it's by itself. So here I can go, the opposite of negative 2y will be a positive 2y. And therefore I got x equals, well, I got to go positive 2y over here also. So these will cancel, so the x equals 2y, positive 2y plus 11. So now I could substitute this in for the x, okay, and find the y. So you don't always have to do the y. You can also isolate for the x and substitute for the x. So here, if I know x is 2y plus 11, up here with number 8, I could go, I'm going to go to the side here where I got more room. I could go negative 7 times, well, the x is now 2y plus 11 minus 2y equals negative 13. Okay, and now we're right back to lesson 59 again. So here I got to go negative 7 times 2y, that'll be a negative 14y. Negative 7 times a positive 11, that'll be negative 77. Minus 2y equals negative 13. So now I can add the y's together. Now negative 14y minus 2y. That'll give me negative 16y minus 77 equals negative 13. Now I can isolate the y. So I take the negative 77 and do a positive 77. So that cancels. Negative 16y equals, oh my God, negative, that'll be 64. Let me do that. Let's see. Turn on the calculator. Equal, yeah, 64. Then negative 16 times something equals 64. So I divide both sides by 16. Negative 16. So y will equal, let's see, 64 would be 3. So here, now we know y is 3. Okay? So now we can put it into this equation and figure out what the x is. So if the y is 3, I can go x equals 2 times 3 equals negative 11. So x equals 2 times 3 is 6 minus 11, no, what am I doing? Plus 11. I messed up. Now you know why I'm using pencil now. And did I mess that up again? Let's see here. Two y is 6 plus